I'm going to recommend to you 5 basic karate equipment that can take your training to the next level. So before we get on with the list, we'll appreciate subscribe to this channel, click on the like button if you like what we're doing, and let us know in the comment box down below what other kind of lists or recommendations, or basically how can we help you enjoy your karate experience a lot more. If you have just recently started enjoying karate, probably you have been practicing kicking and punching the air for quite a bit, and you're thinking about having some additional training aids to help you get better in terms of your physical performance, something that you can buy and keep at home for your own personal practice away from the dojo. So in terms of selecting these equipments, there are some considerations that I've made. Number one, of course, if you're going to be having these equipments at home, they should be relatively easy to be used on your own without a training partner. Number two, if you're just starting out with karate practice and you don't know how much investment you want to make yet, you probably don't want to put a lot of money in. So the second consideration that I've made for you is that these 5 equipments are relatively affordable, or if not, they are pretty cheap as compared to a lot of specialized equipment out there that you find in the gym. And number 3, what's really important for me is really value for money. How much benefit can you get from getting them? There are more than one ways you can use these equipment, so I'm talking about its versatility or the flexibility in terms of use. And last but not least, and I think it goes for a lot of us staying in Singapore, we don't have the luxury of space in terms of keeping extra things in the house. So the amount of space that this equipment will take, or the ease of storage, is my final consideration. And one of the main reasons why I'm coming out with this video for you at this time is because it's coming to the end of 2021, and I'm sure quite a number of you are ready to make your 2022 resolutions, and in that put in some investments in terms of things to buy for your karate journey in the next year or so. So we're starting from the bottom. At number 5 is the exercise mat. A big part of resistance training in karate practice involves the use of your body weight. So it is not uncommon for you to go to a karate class and be doing a lot of push-ups and a lot of body exercises like crunches, sit-ups, so on and so forth. If you don't have the luxury of padded floors, unlike in the dojo, it can be quite painful to be subjecting your joints or your limbs to the floor for extended period of times. So for example, if I'm practicing my back kick or ishirogiri, and just imagine if you're a beginner, again, you're not used to a lot of pressure going into your joints, or even if you have joint problems, could you imagine that without a padded exercise mat and you're doing this, how uncomfortable or painful that will be? If you're really working hard, you're going to be having sweat all over the floor, and anti-slip mats like this one are really great to prevent you from slipping down and falling, not just for karate but also for general fitness purposes. The exercise mat is the very least that I can recommend if you're thinking about what to get for your karate training. So one level up from using your body weight for resistance training is of course using actual weights. And with that in mind, my recommendation number 4 is the modular dumbbell. Beyond using the dumbbell just for the purpose of karate training, you can also use the dumbbell for your regular general fitness exercises like your flies, your pulls and rows. I'm really very bad with the gym terms. The reason why I specifically mention about modular dumbbells instead of those fixed ones is, number 1, practically, with modular dumbbells, you can adjust the weights according to your own liking without buying another set of dumbbells. And the first and foremost reason why I really like modular dumbbells is that you can modify this thing into chi-ishi, which is very simple. So all you need to do is to just remove all the weights on one end. I like to reinforce the weights on the other end, and all of a sudden you have a makeshift chi-ishi. Of course, I would note that because this is bare metal, it can be slippery if you're just using it with your bare hands. So if you're going to be doing chi-ishi training with the dumbbell, I would really advise for you to be wearing a glove So I really love the modular dumbbells for its versatility and ability to be converted into a makeshift chi-ishi without buying a chi-ishi in the first place. And at number 3, my recommendation is the resistance band. The resistance band is a lot cheaper than a dumbbell, and the reason why this ranks higher than a dumbbell is because, in spite of its price, the kinds of exercises you can do on the dumbbell, you can also do it with a resistance band. And actually, in fact, you can do a lot more exercises with the resistance band as compared to the dumbbell alone. Unlike the dumbbell, the resistance band, you can use it in more planes than one. So with the dumbbell, you basically have to subject it towards the ground because, you know, it works by gravity. But with resistance band, it works by the tension of the band itself. So you can subject it to the vertical plane in a sense of things like a bicep curl, or you can subject it to the horizontal plane. So in this case, I have it wrapped against a steady pose. If you want to be adding resistance to your punches, you can just simply do this. And of course, it wraps nicely around your foot too. You will need to find a post or an anchor at the ground level, and you just have to figure out a way in order to wrap the resistance band around your foot. So this is how I wrap it around my foot, and from here on you can start practicing kicking. So in the case of a front kick, so what's number 2? Of course, number 2 is the humble punching bag. So a better way to get good at your kicking and punching than to actually hit something. By hitting the punching bag, it is one of the best ways to relieve stress. There are a lot of kinds of punching bags out there, from a regular one like this one to one that's basically as tall or even taller than you are. And there are some specialized punching bags like the aqua bag or the very big boulder bag. I forgot what they call it. They typically use it to practice uppercuts and all that. With punching bags, obviously, there is a lot of karate techniques that you can practice on them, okay, for your punching to your kicking. So the punching bag is supposed to be used to simulate your opponent in the first place. So take the opportunity to use the punching bag as an actual opponent. Try to incorporate your sense of timing, your sense of positioning, distancing, and things like that. So with the punching bag out of the way, do you want to guess what's my number 1 recommendation when it comes to the 5 basic karate training equipment? It is simply the mirror. So karate is one of those martial arts where proper form, structure is very highly emphasized on. For the matter, when you go for grading or belt testing, the assessment is largely based on visual assessment anyway. So it's obvious for me to recommend that if you want to get better at your karate, one of the best ways is by using a mirror. Take the opportunity to check on yourself. Are you standing correctly? Is your stance okay? Do you have your guards up whenever you're kicking and punching, if that's an emphasis for you? And as you're practicing your footwork, do you occasionally start to stand up or have your stance too close, especially when you're getting tired? So in an environment where there is no instructors, there is no partners for you to, ask for advice from, the mirror is actually your best friend. And with the mirror, there are many kinds of mirrors out there. From what you see over here is a wall-mounted one, to sometimes you would find a freestanding mirror, or nowadays even in some rental dance studios, they really want to have flexibility in terms of how they use the space. They might use mirrors that are free rolling for you to push around. I think for the mirror to be effective for your use in karate training, you should be able to see from your waist upwards. So if you have the luxury of space and a bit of cash, a full body mirror like this one where we have in the studio is great. But if you don't have one, something like this would work too. So in this case, it is a mirror setup consisting of 2 narrow mirrors. So with that being my top 5 recommendations for basic karate equipment to take your training to the next level, I can start hearing some complaints, almost making it to the comment box down below. Rush, where's all of the traditional karate equipment? Why aren't you including it in this list if it's meant for karate people? I will make an honorary mention about what I think would be good to get if you insist on getting traditional training tools. Let me tell you the reason why I don't include them in this top 5 list. Number one is because if you're living in Singapore, the accessibility to these training tools are not so great. I don't see local martial arts suppliers selling equipment like the Chi-Ishi, Kongo-Ken or Ishisashi and stuff like that. So it's pretty hard to get. That means unless you're building it yourself, it can be quite costly for you to eventually get it. And after going through all of that trouble, if you do get it, I believe the use of the traditional equipment is actually quite limited as compared to modern equipment that you have today. So for instance, like I showed you earlier, if you have a dumbbell, you can use it for general fitness training, but you can also convert it into the Chi-Ishi for more specific karate movements. But the inverse is not true. If you have the Chi-Ishi, you cannot convert it into a traditional dumbbell to do your general fitness training, and as a result you probably have a Chi-Ishi and you have a dumbbell, or you probably need to go to the gym to use the dumbbell. The other example is that if you have something like the Ishisashi, which is the stone locks, they actually resemble quite closely to the kettlebell. So I think if you already have a kettlebell, there is no need for you to be using the Ishisashi. And kettlebells nowadays, there are also the modular kettlebell designs. So you can just have one of those and enjoy the different weight adjustments that you can make out of that particular kettlebell. But if you have the traditional Ishisashi, I've never seen a modular Ishisashi to begin with. So that means you are fixed with just one weight and one single use for the Ishisashi. Of course, I understand within the traditional training tools, there are many ways to use it, but I'm saying that however way you can use the traditional training tools, you can also use modern training tools to have the same kind of benefits. But I get it that, sometimes the reason we buy things is because we want to commit to our identity as karate practitioners. So if you're practicing karate, it makes sense for you to buy something that aligns with the whole karate image. So if you must insist on buying a karate consistent training tool, I would recommend getting the Makiwara. If you don't have access to the Makiwara, the other alternative is the sandbag or a pebble bag. I forgot what we call it in Japanese. So if you know what the term is, please let us know in the comment box down below. So speaking about the Makiwara, there are generally two kinds that I'm aware of. One is the kind that is freestanding, and the freestanding version, there's two further kinds. The most traditional one, I believe, is the one where you have to plant the shaft into the ground. You can imagine how practical that will be in a typical housing environment in Singapore. I don't think you can drill into the floor without getting chased out of your house. There is actually a modified version based on that design, which is the shaft that is fixed onto a bottom plate. So again, even with that design, I've never seen a local martial arts supply store selling it. What's more practical for our home setup nowadays is a Makiwara setup like this one. So this is a mounted version of the Makiwara. So basically it's quite compact. There is no shaft to it. In my case, I simply tie it against a stable and firm post. And you see that if you can use a Makiwara for punching, you can also use the punching bag for punching. So to me, the punching bag is a lot more versatile than the Makiwara. But I understand there are specific benefits for the Makiwara. For example, the design of the Makiwara is such a way that there is not a lot of give when you punch it. So basically when you punch, it pretty much stops the punch there. So the physical benefits of using a makiwara for training, it's mostly, I believe, to instill good structure and alignment in terms of your body structure when you do a punch, so that you don't bounce off. Inevitably, training to increase your bone density, in this case in your knuckles if you're practicing punching. I've seen people doing kicks on a makiwara also, that's entirely possible, but again, with the makiwara, it is fixed in one location. You can't really move around with it, although you can be creative on how you can use the makiwara. So that's it I have for you in terms of my top 5 recommendations for basic karate equipment. Let me know what you think about my list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you rank these 5 equipment in a different way? Would you add or remove something else out of the list? And basically, yeah, let me know how we can make the list better, or if there's any other things that we can probably help you with in terms of improving your karate experience. Let us know down in the comment box down below. And this has been the Lionheart Academy channel, and with this we hope you can enjoy karate more. Os.